Hello everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at Bulma, a CSS framework that comes with a bunch of useful components that's built into Rails 7. The way we're going to be doing this is with a quick little Rails new command as per usual, which will give you access to something that looks similar to this, of course without these actual components and this functionality, but right here I just have like one card that we have available. Click on new post, do another post. And we'll just upload a file real quick so that we have another image to work with. Let's grab this one, and then we click create post, go back to our posts, and now you can see we have two cards. Again, the styling here isn't really anything fancy. It's just what I put together using a couple components real quick, just so that you could see sort of what you get with Bulma. And the way that this is going to work is if you come over to the Bulma website, you can see over here we have the CSS library, and in here, this is where you have all of your different components that you can take a look at. So this is like, for example, where I got the card from, and the nav bar, similar to like how Bootstrap works and how some Tailwind libraries work. In terms of actually using Bulma, it's pretty simple. Just going to go ahead and cd out of our demo project, and then we'll just do a Rails new video -jes build -c Bulma, and then we can cd into our video and run a code dot real quick. Once that's started, it'll run through all of our usual setup. Again, just as a note, because I get questions about this, if you're using the esbuild command, you're not going to be using import maps anymore. You're going to be back to using yarn add commands to add your dependencies. And as far as the actual like setup goes, if you're just interested in using Bulma, you already know what you want to do with it. At this point, you're done. So the rest of this video is just going to be walking you through sort of how to use the Bulma documentation to accomplish whatever you need. But okay, let's go ahead and let's take a look at this. Let's do a Rails G scaffold. We'll say we want to do a post with a title and a body of type text. We can then do a Rails active _storage :install command to install active storage. And then we can come over here into our app, our models, our post.rb, hit Control+ real quick. And inside of our post.rb, we want to say that this is going to has one attached image for active storage. We can then come into controllers and the post controller, scroll down to the bottom, and add the image in here. We can then come into our app, our views, our _form.html.urb, which is right here, app views posts _form. And in here, what we want to do is we can optionally add some of the form components here from Bulma by coming down here below components to form. And you can just click around in here a little bit. I'm gonna skip this a little bit and just add in some CSS that I already have. For the post.errors, there's not a whole lot that's gonna change here. We're just adding a class of notification and is danger, a title and is -5 right here. The rest of it's gonna look the same. For our actual form components here, we're just going to add in a div with a class of field. We're going to give our label a class of label. We'll give a class of control to our text field, and then we'll give that specific text field a class of input. And then, of course, you guessed it, for the body, it's going to be largely similar. We give the outer div a class, we give the label a class, the div wrapping around the text area class, then we give the text area a class of text area. For the actual form input, we just put for the form field, or file field, we put a class of field again. We give the label a class, and we don't really change the file field itself. Finally, we just style the submit button and say that's what it should look like. Let's go ahead and let's test this. I'm going to do a bin/dev, but I forgot that I don't have Foreman installed, so let me just do a gem install Foreman real quick, and then a bin/dev should work again. And now let's come over here to localhost port 3000/post. It'll ask us to run our pending migrations. We'll go ahead and we'll do that. We can now click on new post. You'll see this doesn't look styled, similar to what like Tailwind looks like when you add it. It's okay. If we click on new post, you can already see we have some of the styling here. So I'll say hello world. This is my first post. And then we'll choose a file real quick. And we'll just grab one from our downloads folder again. We'll click create post. Now on our show page, we're not seeing anything. So let's come into _post.html.urb, which is our post partial. And real quick, we'll just mock up what we have for everything else, right? So it's just going to be a image tag for our post image. And then I'm actually going to do a little bit of style where I say it has a width of 300 pixels and a height of 300 pixels. This is just for my own sanity, so it doesn't blow up the entire page. And we do need to do a set of parentheses around this. So if I save this and refresh, we should still get this error. But now what I want to do is say URL for the post.image. That should hopefully get this to stop being a pain. There we go. So now we can see the image on our show page. So that's pretty neat. Now let's come back to our like post page so we can see everything in here. And in here, let's just add in that little nav bar. We'll come up to our layouts and our application.html.erb. Real quick, we'll just do a render for layout/nav. Just like that. We can now come into layouts, right click new file, _nav.html.erb. Inside of that nav bar, we're going to come into our Bulma and we're going to find the nav bar component right here under components and nav bar. You can scroll down and you can find whichever one you would like. You're just going to copy it and customize it as you see fit. In this case, what I have is just a nav bar. We have our brand right here. Again, very similar to Bootstrap if you've used that before. We then have our nav bar start. This is the left side of our nav bar. And then you have the nav bar end. This is the right side of our nav bar. Now, I don't have a devise set up here, so these routes are just strings. If you add devise, you just remove these strings and it should take you to the correct links. So we can come over here and we can refresh. And we'll see here that our route path isn't defined. So let's come over to our config and our routes.rb real quick. And let's just say this has a route to the post controller index action so that we also have a route. Now we can see our blog app right here. So that's pretty cool. So if we click on that, it takes us to the root of our application. If we come back over to our nav bar, we still have our start and our end right here. If I come up here and scroll out, you'll see this is now working. We don't have a collapse set up in this one. That's something where you'd have to come in here and see where you can get the hamburger menu from. Wherever you want to find it, it's going to be in here. So like right here, there's the drop down and stuff. And there's also going to be the accessibility options for when it collapses based on your screen size. But this is what it looks like. I can click on posts, click on new post, and all of that's working. The last thing I'm going to do is come into our posts and our post index. And inside of our post index, we just kind of want to style this a little bit more than what we have right now. So let's start by giving let's just get rid of pretty much all of this. We're going to start by creating a div with a class of isFluid right there and a container, just like that. If we save this, we can refresh. The container appears right there. That looks fine. Next, what we want is to add our sets of columns. So for this, we can do a div with a class of columns and is multi-line. And then inside of this is where we want to do our @posts. So whatever your @posts are, this is where you're going to be iterating through them. We can do an end right here, just like that. And for each of these posts, we want to do whatever we need to do. So in this case, what I'm going to do is say, let's render a post that is 1/3 of the size. So we say it's a column that is 1/3, which is really nice because it's really readable. And then what we do is we say, does this have an image attached? If this has an image attached, we're going to display that image. If it doesn't, we'll just ignore this. So this is how we're handling the case where the user didn't upload an image with active storage. After that, we're going to have some card content. This is going to happen outside of that end statement right there. Our card content is going to have some content, which is our post title and our post body. After that, the card needs to have a footer, which is going to happen right here, just like that. And then after this footer, we need to close 2 of our divs. Now after the end, we have these 2 divs right here. Between these 2 divs, we can just insert one little link to create a new post. And now if we refresh, we can see we have that same layout we had previously. And if I zoom in a bit, you'll be able to see it a bit better, where we have our post right here with a new post button and our post link. So if we click new post, let's just do like 2 and 2, and we'll choose another image real quick. Just say new line. And in here, this is going to be put onto the new line. We'll grab a different image. So we'll just grab like this one. I don't know. Click create post, come back here and refresh. And there you go. So now you can see we have all 4 of our images being tiled pretty easily in about the span of about 10 minutes. So yeah, that's basically all I wanted to show you here. Bulma's pretty cool. It's got quite a few useful components that you can use. And it seems pretty easy to work with. And it's always really nice when everything can just be distilled down into a quick little Rails new command where you can just add it with a -c of Bulma. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you've found this enjoyable, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.